Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us here on SABC News. World Water Day has been celebrated each year on March 22nd since 1992. This day focuses on the importance of fresh water and presses for the sustainable management of freshwater resources. The day is also aimed at raising awareness about 2.2 billion people living without access to safe water resources globally. According to UN Global Water Demand is likely to rise by over 50% by 2040. We are now joined by Janine Simon Meyer from UNICEF, South Africa's Communications for Development Specialist. A very good afternoon to you, Janine. Thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News this afternoon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You know, I just had a very concerning conversation with Yamkela Ntola from UNISA about where South Africa is in terms of providing clean water. And we're talking more around the issues of the fact that, access to clean running water is a basic sort of human right. Paint a picture for us about the situation globally. And it seems that, we really are having a global issue. I read those numbers and I'm reading those stats that I just read out now, and it does look like this is a great problem. I mean, you'll often hear people having discussions about the fact that the next war will be about water, and I wonder if that's true.
I think there's great concern. You're quite right about access to water. I mean, UNICEF has a new initiative launched in the last week about water security for all. And particularly reaching children in water vulnerable areas. I mean, for example, in South Africa, there are about 4% of children here who are experience high vulnerability to water insecurity or extreme vulnerability, which means that they're very limited water supplies and their access to running water is very limited as well. But 1 in 5 children globally doesn't have enough water to meet their everyday needs. So it's a very serious problem, and we're very concerned about it.
Yeah. What are some of the sort of projects, I suppose, or what needs to be done, to make sure that particularly those rural and poor communities do then gain access to water, because it does seem that they bear the brunt of this issue.
Well, here in South Africa, yes, absolutely. Too many people do not have access to piped water. About 10 million people in South Africa don't have access. There are 8 million people who are using communal water supplies or their neighbors' taps. We have about 2 million who are needing to access water from surface water supplies. So really what needs to happen, and it's a call that we make all the time in the short term, is to maintain access to the communal water supplies. But then in the longer term, for all partners, it's not something that can be done singly, but for government and all partners to expand and to improve the water supply. And then at the same time to take immediate actions like what we're doing right now is to activate youth, actually mobilize youth to improve access to hand washing facilities through very simple emergency type measures. Yeah. So there's immediate and then medium term and long term things that we can do.
I mean, I always think about the fact that the government governments should be accountable or held accountable rather, where there is a failure to provide water, particularly to impoverished communities or poor communities. What recourse do these communities then have when it comes to the fact that they are not able to access water, which, as I've said before, is a basic right, and in our constitution here in South Africa, it's a human right that is enshrined, of course, in the Constitution. So one then asks the question of what recourse do they then have? Because, these are the leaders that they elect, and then, you're not providing what you have to actually provide. It's not a favor. What do the communities then do?
From my understanding of the last few months, there have been 2 main things. One is to work through local councillors who do have the direct input into local authority, and also the Department of Water and Sanitation, which plays a role on all of the COVID command centres. So there's quite a strong line of connection between what communities experience on the ground to the emergency responses that have been mounted over the last few months, and to government, working through local representatives and authorities. And the other thing is that there have been large groupings of NGOs and academics that have formed that are actually tracking the responses against indicators and meters, and they issue weekly reports. So the more people that sign on to those kinds of tracking processes, the more impact they're likely to have, because they hold government accountable in very visible and specific ways about the number of problems that have been reported and the numbers that have been resolved.
All right. Janine, thank you for giving us your time here on SABC News. Much appreciated.
Thanks so much.
All right. That's Janine Simon Meyer, who is UNICEF South Africa's Communication Director for Development. Right, well, Mine Workers Union AMCU has filed papers in Mpumalanga High Court in support of the amended business rescue plan for Lily Mine. However, the families of the 3 workers who were trapped underground and former employees are concerned with the union's move. The families feel the union should have consulted them. This after the High Court issued an interim interdict saying that the amended plan should not be implemented. The court gave interested parties until May 5th to oppose the issuing of a final interdict.
Following the